Hey, so good morning. Good morning, Ragamuffins. I I'm just floored by the amount of support and outpouring of love from people. I've already had a couple of really special, really special messages from some folks out there, and I'm I'm grateful. Thank you so much. I wore this shirt today. My cup runneth over. So thank you for that. So I've kind of laid a good foundation of the experiences I was having, and I want to talk about a really tough one today that I had, and so just hang on to the end. There's a redemption at the end. It's a little longer than the other ones, and I know we're all busy people, and I also know that I have a really short attention span sometimes. So I'm sure there's some people out there like that also. So. Um, During this winter, I was really struggling with warfare. And I think with this rebirth that I experienced, my brain just became very raw, and I was the Lord was trying to put me back together again. It's like Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, and God was trying to put me back together again. And sometimes I was a little naive, well, a lot naive, and other times I was just so desperate for human connection, for some meaningful human connection, and I was lonely a lot of times too. It was really hard during that period of time where I would go to work, and you work 8-10 hours a day, and go home, and it wore me out, and I would just read to kind of cope with what was going on in my head. Um and then when Friday would come, I would feel horrible on Friday, because what Friday meant was is that my distraction, which was work, from my pain, was going to end. And then Saturday would be lonely, and then come Sunday, it would just peak. And I would Sunday afternoon, even after church, I would just feel so alone, and I was hurting so bad that I just wanted somebody to call and check on me. I just wanted somebody to call me and say, "Hey man, let's go get some lunch," or whatever it was, just somebody to reach out and care. And and I think there was a lesson in that for me, is to know whenever someone is hurting that weekends are difficult because the distraction's gone of a regular job. So so here I am reading all these books, trying to learn about God, and just rocking and rolling, and I've had these spiritual experiences, and I'm quite honestly, I'm a little cocky about it. I'm like, wow, God is really pouring it on me, and this is going to be awesome, and da 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 da. And I dipped off trying to understand in why these verses were lining up, and why all these spiritual experiences were happening, into a little bit of new age stuff. And I didn't really understand it at the time, and I still don't completely understand it, because there's some weirdness there that and I'm not bagging on anybody that practices some sort of other faith. I'm just going to tell you my story. And so I scheduled a spiritual retreat weekend at this kind of new age center. Wanted to explore what that was all about. And so there's one of those out here northeast of Dallas, and you show up on Friday, and hang out until Sunday. And I I showed up there, and there was this kind of Indian guru guy in a white robe, and he had a couple of women there that were also in white robes. And there was probably, I don't know, 8 or 10 people there. And, um, and, uh, 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 and they kind of gave us a lecture about what they were about. And so basically, they combined a whole bunch of stuff: Jadeism, Hinduism, um, all of the above. And they had a yoga center there, and they had these chants that they wanted everybody to participate in. Well, I'm just kind of rolling with the flow, thinking, I'm kind of invincible right now, and God's got my back. And even though I was in a horrible mental state, like I was just a mess, it was there. There's no denying it. And I still get to be a mess sometimes. I'm not saying I've got it all figured out. I'm just saying that Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall, and this was part of the reconstruction. So I'm at this place, and I did yoga both mornings, and I'm participating in these little chants that they had, and I'm still reading my Bible and still seeking God while I'm there too. And I left there, and um, I went home, and I was feeling really good about things. And about 2 days later, all of a sudden, I just started having these delusions. And what I mean by delusions is there was some unwanted sexual thoughts. There was some unwanted, um, what I call suicide, uh, even a little bit of murder. There was a lot of weirdness that was going on. And our spirit is located in our belly. From your belly will stream rivers. John 8:38. And in my belly, one morning I woke up and it was hot, and I mean like a fever in my belly. It was one of the weirdest things that I've ever experienced, and I wasn't right. I was a mess. And so I'm struggling during this time. I made a couple of phone calls to some folks, and um, said some things that I shouldn't have, interacted with some people that I shouldn't have, and it was ugly, and it was a mess, and it was a really scary time. And so I'm struggling, fighting whatever it was that was on me, in me, around me. I don't know how to explain it because I can't see that stuff. But finally, one day I went up to behind the dam of Lake Ray Roberts. And during this time, I also had a set of headphones, and I downloaded Josh Turner's gospel album. And I listened to that thing on repeat because I wanted the voices to stop in my head. And so I would walk and listen to this music and just try to just drown out what was on me, in me, or around me. All of the above, whatever it was, doesn't really matter. So I parked up behind the dam of Lake Ray Roberts, and I just cried out to God. I just said, God, please take this away, whatever it is. I don't know what this is, but it's scaring me, and I'm tired of it, and it hurts, and I just don't want to be here anymore. Please help me. So not long after that, I'm driving again. I'm going down 75 highway, and going down the frontage road, and I see this man walking on the sidewalk, and he's wearing a cowboy hat and like red running shoes. He's carrying a sleep roll, and I'm just thinking, man, I need somebody to eat lunch with, and that looks like a guy that I want to talk to. So I pull into the parking lot, I park my truck, and And the guy walks right up, and I said, "Hey man, you want to get some lunch?" And he said, "Sure." So he puts his stuff in my truck, and we go in and we just start breaking bread together. Well, this man had been homeless for 10 years. He told me a little bit of his story, and he talked for 45 minutes straight, like he hadn't talked to someone in a couple years. And I just sat there and listened and just soaked it up. Told me about his family and about the rupture that had happened and how he got to be homeless and where he had been. And in the middle of this conversation, he says, "Jared, I got a friend that used to live here in McKinney. His name's Moses. And old Moses, he used to tell me, James, God is going to do amazing things in your life." And James looks at me and he says, "Jared, I want you to know that God is going to do amazing things in your life." And of course, it just wrecks me still to this day that God had sent this angel to me. And so we get up and we leave, and I take him in the truck. And I said, "Where you want to go?" And he said, "I need to go to the hospital." So I took Cowboy James to the hospital, and I gave him my business card, and he gave me his phone number. And I said, "Man, you call me if you ever need anything." Being the righteous guy I was like, "Oh, you probably need me." Right? Well, I was wrong about that. So so I go home one day and I'm still wrecked by whatever this is that's surrounded me, this cloud of darkness. And I'm laying in bed one day and I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to function. Things were just weird. And suddenly I heard an audible scream leave my house. And it sounded like something out of a horror movie. So whatever the function of this was for me to learn what warfare was, for me to learn the danger of everything, God sent Cowboy James to me to help me win this battle. And that scream that left was obviously some kind of dark spiritual force or curse that had been put on me or followed me home. The importance of it wasn't that to understand exactly what it was. The importance is that there is darkness out there. And whenever we're walking in this faith, we still have to be careful. And we have to protect those around us that are new in the spirit, that are naive like we all were at one time and still are to some degree in certain aspects. And so I grew in some discernment there. Now, a couple weeks later, this is another beautiful part of the story is y'all out there that have been through a struggle know what it feels like to get triggered. And a couple weeks later, one day I got triggered, and it immobilized me. I was in Sandpoint, Idaho at my daughter's workshop, and I had an interaction with someone, and all these feelings just come rushing out. And I just laid in bed all day and kind of had a pity party. But I told my kids this story about Cowboy James. And we had a lot of private time that week where we just got to hang out. And that day that I got triggered, about 8:30 that night, Cowboy James called me. And he said, "Jared, I was just thinking about you and what you did for me the other day. And I wanted to call and tell you thank you again. And I also wanted you to know that, Jared, God is going to do amazing things in your life." So there's God's timing again, just right on time. He was there, and he's there not a doubt in my mind. So I'm just going to pray us out. And I love you guys. Thank you for all your support. Please pray for me. There's some vulnerability here that I'm expressing that that I know this darkness doesn't like. So please pray for me. Heavenly Father, thank you for redemption. Thank you for forgiveness. Thank you for everything, Lord. So grateful for you and for all the things that you do. And please bless whoever's listening to this today and watching this today. And I hope it gives people courage and hope that you have overcome the world, Lord. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen. You'll have a great week.